What's going on, dear viewers? It's your gracious host, Kaine Walker. Getting right into it this time as a new method of approach for discussing games because I believe the general focus of them has become misplaced. I will be focusing on gameplay first, everything else second. Now, without further ado, welcome to another one of Kaine Walker's Dread Quests in review. Starting with the controls, they're serviceable. That's it. Coming from the likes of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, it feels like an overall downgrade. The devs lied to you. Remember when they said you were still fast? No, not at all. Not even close. You move like a light armored tank and you are nowhere near as maneuverable as you were in previous entries. Weapon swapping is a pain in the ass and often gets you killed. And the traversal mechanics to me lack a satisfying sense of cohesion. Namely, the shield throw / jump mechanic. It's just not intuitive at all. How does throwing my shield into these green corpse things allow me to jump 100 feet in the air like the Hulk? Honestly, it just hurts my head to think about. Overall, the controls leave much to be desired. Combat system. I hate it. I'm just gonna be real. This color-coded nonsense is infuriating and I'm tired of devs treating me like an idiot who can't find his own way. People love giving out points for being different and experimenting, but that always comes right after declaring their distaste. And so I must ask, what's the point of being different if it's bad? The entire game is built around shield throw and parry. Shoot armor to superheat, shield throw. Army of fodder enemies, shield throw. Oh, I'm pinned by a heavy demon, shield throw. People may take issue with this, but I don't think the shield was needed, and the playstyle you're funneled into feels out of place for a Doom game. People complained that glory kills slowed the pace of the game, but now slow-mo is a prevalent mechanic upon melee and holding the shield throw button. That said, time for the good parts. You have a decent amount of weapon variety to the point where you are able to find a particularly unique playstyle or a sleeper build without having to stress about optimization. So it's not all bad, especially with the shield runes and the different weapon upgrade combinations there are, as well as the melee weapons. Though, once you find the Dread Mace, that's pretty much all you're going to want to use. Progression to me felt like it was all over the place. You have to play pretty far into the game to get to some of the more fun or potent weapons, and unless you're spending hours before then collecting upgrade materials and gold, you won't be saving up for those. Why would you wait that long, especially on your first playthrough when you don't even know what you're gonna get, when you could just upgrade all the things you already have that very moment? Progression in the way of potency is just fine. You'll be able to get through pretty much any challenge before you find those weapons, but in the sense of versatility, it's a very slow crawl. And now for my biggest pet peeve and what I guessed before this game's launch, the game balancing. The game was released in a state where standard settings made the game a joke even on Nightmare, but with the updates they released to make the game more difficult, it's still not that much better in that it leans toward cheap rather than challenging. Especially with all the acid goop that slows your already slow movement, hit scan spam enemies even more than previous entries, and enemies that force you to confront them only in one way, those being the Cyber Demon and that one other enemy that functions similarly to the Marauder from Doom Eternal. I forgot that one's name. Finally, the biggest crime is that the game balancing has been outsourced to the player instead of the devs doing their job. No idea why there's this race to homogenize and dilute every experience, but here we are. Some people look at the accessibility sliders as a good thing, but still I see this as a terrible precedent to set for the gaming industry because you just know they're looking to standardize this. There's already evidence of it, but that's a discussion for another time. Replayability is there if you can stomach going through the dragon, turret, and mech sections again, which were so bad they altered them in the latest updates, but it is a fact. Once you complete the game, you have the opportunity to return to any level previously played along with your upgraded gear to collect, upgrade, and unlock to your heart's content. And this much should be a staple in any game. If you enjoyed the experience that much, you should be able to play it again with everything you've earned from a previous playthrough. And kudos to id for doing it. For bugs and performance issues, at launch this game was riddled with them. There would be random intervals of frame skip and stutter on top of random intervals of crashing, and at the time of this recording, I have no idea whether or not that was fixed, considering I just beat this game about a month ago. I would wager no. And no, it was not my hardware. So if you plan on getting this game, be wary of that. The world and level design was pretty hit or miss, pretty much to the point of being downright stagnant. You're dropped into a mixture of semi-open world sandboxes and interconnected corridors that lead to combat encounters. And save for the occasional platforming or secret encounter, nothing really stood out to me. To add to that, I will say they made finding secrets really, really easy this time around. So if you hate collectathons like me, you'll enjoy this. Though considering I know why they did it and in what spirit they carried that out, I can't give them the points for it. The story. Per my briefing a few weeks ago, this will be as cursory as possible. It's incredibly boring. Too many devs are moving further and further away from the walk and talk, audio log, environmental storytelling that makes lore so approachable. Yes, you have your codexes and your files and your documents you find lying around, but those are still a part of the environmental storytelling formula, in that it is completely optional whether or not you decide to read those. But now, sitting and watching is becoming less and less of a choice, to the point where I barely paid attention to the cutscenes and would often go and do something else. I don't remember any names, any major MacGuffins, landmarks, and absolutely nothing or no one stood out, not even the Doomslayer. It does nothing to enrich his lore any further than you've already known, and actually contradicts some things about him and the demons. Should cyber demons even exist at this point in the story? Moving on. The aesthetic presentation of this game is okay, but it's way too muted and realistic for it to really wow me in particular, because I prefer a more stylized approach to game graphics. Take the Darkness 2 or Street Fighter Cross Tekken, for example. It does look like Doom, save for some of the demon redesigns, but this one is gonna be a personal taste thing. To me, all the gray made even the most distinct stages look boring. Even those particular water-based stages in a certain realm, that I enjoy, but still they suffer from that problem. As far as the music, I heard the absence of Mick Gordon be described as palpable, and that's putting it mildly. To put it spicily, it's a two-pack of ass. Overall, this game continues the trend of genre dilution to attract a phantom audience, instead of just doing more of what made them appealing in the first place. If their intention was to make a barely entertaining flavor of the month game that people will forget in about 2 weeks, they succeeded. But as far as a positive, memorable experience akin to a God of War or Devil May Cry, forget about it. I rate Doom the Dark Ages a 4 out of 10. And here's my reasoning for that. If this was the first modern Doom game, I'd give it a 5, even with all the design by committee sensibilities. The leeway of being your first attempt at a modern Doom title. But as a man that expects sequels to improve upon previous entries, it should be graded much harsher. This game as much as I thought that I would, I was still largely correct about most of my predictions, and in all honesty, I cannot recommend any bona fide classic player to buy this game. Play Doom Trilogy, Doom Eternal, or Doom 2016 instead. And with that, I've gone on long enough. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the links in the description to keep your fingers on the pulse of Cosmicoff. This has been your gracious host, Kaine Walker. I'm signing off, and I will see you all again next time. Peace.